Alright, what's going on YouTube? We are back with another Baldur's Gate 3 mods video. We're going to be doing another spell pack. This is going to be from the same author as the last video I made, Dawnstar, titled Dawnstar's Grimoire. This gives you 5 new cantrips and 15 new spells that are able to be used between bards, druids, warlocks, sorcerers, clerics, knights, and wizards. This is a mix between blood magic, necromancy, spirit, nature, and witchcraft. As before, I'm going to showcase these spells here, and then we're going to go into a combat scenario after I do a demonstration of what these spells are. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment down below. I'll also put a link in the description down below for the mod itself. If you do download it, please endorse the mod author, and if you enjoy the videos, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And without further ado, let's go ahead and showcase the spells. Alright, so we're going to go over the cantrips, and then we're going to go over the spells levels 1 through 6. The first cantrip that you get is called Decay. This does 3 to 12 necrotic damage when you first use the spell. If the target's already suffering from decay, you deal additional 1 to 4 necrotic damage. Now this works with your spells as well as ally spells and things like that, so really good to stack it on, and it uses a bonus action instead of an action. The second one is Bleed, pretty simple. You hit a target with it, causes them to bleed for 2 turns. Nothing really to kind of go over with that spell or cantrip. The next one is called Ball Lightning. Release the orb of electricity if nearby enemies are suffering from shock and chains off and deals 3 to 12 lightning damage. So you use this, you hit them with it if they're already shocked from another spell or from a previous spell. Say, example, use Witch Bolt. You hit it, they're shocked. You can use that as a follow-up, and it will do additional damage and bounce off of them as well. Next up is called Ensnare. This traps a creature and does 3 to 12 bludgeoning damage. You have increased attack rolls against it, and the enemies have decreased attack rolls and dexterity saving throws. So really cool to trap an enemy and have your allies follow up and do additional damage. So a lot of these are pretty good, like base damage dealers, as well as like support damage. And then finally, the last one you get is called Soul Dive. You charge forward in astral form, hitting all enemies in the way and possibly knocking them prone. This lasts for 2 turns and does not enable the opportunity attacks. So we're going to go all over these in a second, but I do want to go over the levels 1 through 6 as well to showcase those, and then just showcase each one against the dummies here. So first off, level 1 spell, you get Hemorrhage. Pull the blood from up to 3 creatures' bodies, causing them to bleed out. At the end of the turn, affected targets take 1 to 6 piercing damage and 1 to 6 slashing damage. Their hit points are temporarily reduced by 5, and incoming attacks have advantage. Lasts for 10 turns and takes a con save. The second one is going to be Spirit Blade. Form a sword out of energy and spirits, swing it at a large arc, possibly throwing the enemies off balance. If they are knocked off balance, it lasts for 2 turns, does 2d8 radiant damage, and it requires a wisdom save. Going on to level 2, we have Nature's Grasp. Cage up to 3 enemies or 3 creatures with vines and deadly plants that sprays the victims with poison. Each turn it takes 1 to 8 poison damage, cannot move, cannot take reactions, and has a disadvantage on Constitution saving throws. This is a dex save, and it takes concentration, so you can cast another concentration spell with this going on. Second is going to be Sacrificial Offering. Extract your own life force, taking 1 to 6 necrotic damage to heal a creature of your choice. They receive False Life, gaining 7 temporary hit points. This is pretty useful to some degree, because you can't cause false life and then cause this to heal someone else. So you can definitely play around with this and get some good use out of it. Next up is going to be Winter's Veil. Summon a swirling snowstorm that grants you and your allies +2 to armor class, but halves all movement speed. While active, enemies become chill, and you can call down a spiked hailstone to deal 2 to 12 cold damage. So this lasts for 10 turns. It's a concentration spell. Like other spells of this variety, once you cast it, you'll get like a little bit of icon on the right hand side. You can cast it again. We'll showcase this here in a second. Next up is going to be Will of the Wisp. Or Will of the Wisp, yeah. Summon 3 wisps, each increasing your armor class by 1. Use an action and launch 1 at will, and it'll possibly seek out 2 additional targets. Each will deals 2 cold damage and 2 necrotic damage. Or 2 to 8 necrotic damage, sorry. So this is actually pretty cool. It lasts until long rest or until you cast all 3. It's pretty powerful in some instances, and actually like it looks really cool. It's probably one of my favorite spells from the Grimoire pack. Next up is going to be, and I'm going to butcher this, Phlebotomize. Probably butchered that. Target a fresh corpse or a creature afflicted with bleed, bleed out, or gaping wounds, and release up to 5 spears made of blood. Each one strikes a different enemy within 18 meters of the target, dealing 2 to 16 piercing damage. If the original target is living, it takes 4 to 32 damage. So this is what you can do when you follow up with something like bleed. You can follow up the next turn with this spell here. You do additional damage to them, and if they're surrounded by allies, it does damage to them as well. At the level 4, we have Hellfire. Open a portal to hell that rains fire and brimstone, leaving a burning surface. This lasts for 5 turns, and it takes a con save. Next up, we have Drain Essence. Tether yourself with up to 5 creatures in front of you each turn, activating the spell to deal 4 to 16 necrotic damage and regain half as many hit points. The tethers break if your concentration is lost or if not active for 2 turns. So if you choose not to activate this for 2 turns, it'll disappear. If they break your concentration, it disappears. Otherwise, it does really, really good damage. And you also get some life back as well. And then the last level 4 that we get is called Nature's Embrace. Nature's Bounty surges forward, covering the ground in lush, radiant flora. When cast, creatures in the area restore 4 to 32 hit points. Any creature that enters the enhanced growth and enchanted growth regains 1 to 8 points after the start of its turn. Lasts for 10 turns. It is a concentration spell, so essentially is sort of a area of effect healing. The next one we get is Familiar Spirit. Summon a vengeful familiar that shields the spellcaster and their allies. When they're within 3 meters of the spirit, they become resistant to spell damage. When an enemy lands a melee attack, they take 4 to 16 necrotic damage and 4 to 16 cold damage in retaliation. So a pretty cool concentration spell. Again, concentration is kind of be hard to use with this one because you can easily break someone's concentration depending on how you use it, like hold person, knock him down prone, so on and so forth. But if they're able to not be knocked down, it's pretty strong. Next up is called Blood Surge. Form a cluster of bloody spikes around a fresh corpse. Any creature within 3 meters of the target is pierced, reducing its armor class by 5 and imposing a -5 penalty to saving throws. This is going to be a little bit hard to do. I'll have to try and kill off one of these enemies and then try and do the Blood Surge, but we can get there. And then finally at level 6, we have Witch Storm. Conjure a lightning storm that pulls enemies towards its center, on impact, dealing 8 to 48 lightning damage at the start of each turn. It strikes again for 4 to 24 lightning damage. The storm reduces enemy movement by half and they become highly conductive, causing the ball lightning cantrip to chain between them. So, if we cast this and then we cast the ball lightning, it will automatically tether and bounce off between each enemy within that atmosphere of the Witch Storm. So again, you can use that as the starting point and then follow up with ball lightning. Next spell we get is Pheromone Blast. This calls forth plants that release fear-inducing pheromones, warping the minds of nearby creatures. Overwhelmed by hallucinations, they are compelled to flee and suffer disadvantage on intelligence and wisdom saving throws. This effect lasts for 5 turns, but taking damage snaps them back to reality. So, if you want to cast this on a group of enemies that you don't want to fight with, you can get them out the way, and then after that, you can go after them a little bit later. And finally, the last level 6 spell that you get is called Death Eater. Make use of a fresh corpse or undead that produces runes that surround with a necrotic aura. Creatures inside the spell cannot regain hit points and are vulnerable to radiant damage. Detonating these runes deals 8 to 32 necrotic damage to nearby creatures, and you receive half as many hit points. Now, there's ways you can play around with this because you can use either a corpse or an undead. So if you have summon undead, you can do that. Again, we'll try and demonstrate this with some fresh corpses, but we'll try and make it work. I'm going to demonstrate each one of the spells because I do have some new effects, and let me know what you guys think.
Stalking. No choice but to keep going. Swift as my feet can carry me. Kitius! Mundus Voldici.
Let me strike.
Come on, can't stay idle.
Lila Lurl. for this.
Need to find a way forward.
You still have time to surrender.
Heading out. Blood comes easy these days.
Your command? Yes.
Survival is all that matters.
Fresh orders?
Sometimes the only way out is through.
Ready for battle.
I wonder if this is worth the cost.
The